a shower in all my life. You recruits are here for one reason only, and that reason is war. I said war. Are you in love, Private? Then don't look at me or give me nightmares. Lights. Australasia, a collection of islands in the South Pacific. Reconnaissance has shown that these islands are rich in swill. Shut up! Swill is the lifeblood of pigs. Control the swill and you control the world. And that means war. What does it mean?
War, soldiers!
Precisely. And as soldiers, our job is to fight, destroy, with guns and bombs and knives and with your bare hands. But before that avenue of pleasure, a series of training films to prepare you for every eventuality in the theatre of warfare. Roll it! Armies on the march. A world divided. The threat of attack from the land, the sea, and the air. No Sunday roast this week. While the soldiers are in the thick of it, back home there's plenty of work to go around. Like making high-explosive bombs. Anti-tank bombs. And making other bombs. So let's make the most of it. That's the ticket. And remember, lads, a war is won at home and not just on the battlefield. There is no excuse for malingering. With any luck, it should all have blown over by Christmas.
Well, it's Christmas time, and that means that we all regress into children for a few weeks, and what a better way to regress into a child than to play a video game from your childhood. Hogs of War is a 2000 turn-based tactics game developed by Gremlin Interactive, who were gobbled up by Infogrames during development, and published by Infogrames. It's a Worms clone set in a world of anthropomorphic pigs who are currently going through the First World War. Well, there are some World War II weapons and other elements in here, but the overall aesthetic is World War I. Unlike Worms at the time, it was fully 3D, which is something that Worms wouldn't try until 2003. Despite its World War I aesthetic, the game's story revolves around the pigs trying to conquer an island to obtain swill, which is basically oil in this game's universe. I mean, they bring it up with oil rigs, so I'm assuming it's meant to be oil. Each nation in the war is represented in a comedic fashion, usually with some sort of pig pun attached to it. You've got Tommy's Trotters, Uncle Ham's Hogs, Garlic Grunts, Piggy Striker, Soa Krauts, and Sushi Swine. Something interesting about Sushi Swine, who are the yellow team, is that they apparently are a different nation depending on which language dub you play the game in. In the Italian dub of the game, this country is actually representative of Italy, and are referred to as the Bellicose Pigs, and have Italian-based names. However, anything that couldn't be dubbed into Italian was left as Japanese, such as the newspapers. So that must have been confusing for patriotic Italian players. Each character in the game is voiced by British comedians Rik Mayall and Mark Silk. I mean, every character has 2 voice actors, who have a lot of range, and it's just glorious.
I like an easy mark.
Calculations show I am in very bad shape. The Sky Blues are romping home to victory!
Fire all phasers. They will die!
Eat this, losers!
Hey, the garlic-chomping Navy Blues seem to have this one sewn up. Good work.
Superficial damage, Captain.
Every nation has different personalities and voices, most of which are stereotypical in nature. I do kind of appreciate that all of the countries look equally stupid in this, so it doesn't really go into the territory of collar-pulling yikes. I mean, it does, but it does so for everyone, so it's fine. Rik Mayall and Mark Silk do fantastic jobs creating a versatile cast of characters and some humorous dialogue that never really gets old. every pig has its own personality based on what these people came up with, so I especially like that as a thing.
I am worm food.
Thank you, comrade.
There are a handful of classes in this game, a bit like Team Fortress 2 but far more streamlined. We've got the Medic, Heavy, Grenadier, Paratrooper, Engineer, and Scout Sniper Spy. Every class has its uses, though depending on your playstyle and skill set, some might be more useful than others. For example, I found Spies and Engineers the most useful in the campaign, and I didn't even bother with the heavy weapons guys at all, mainly because I can't use the artillery targeting system to save my own life. It's not bad necessarily, it's just my dyspraxic ass can't get around it. Spies don't appear on the map, like in the little mini-map in the corner, and they can do 40 damage per shot with a sniper rifle. They have a poison gas grenade and the ability to hide in a box, which more or less makes them invisible to the AI. Engineers get a variety of explosives which help in a lot of situations, and medics can heal characters with their healing hands. Admittedly, it's a bit weird when they do it. They also get a rifle that shoots healing medicine into pigs, and grenades that explode into healing goodness. So now that I've told you the Wikipedia summary of the game, let's get started with our epic World War I campaign.
I feed on violence, and now I'm full.
I decided to go full patriotic and play as Tommy's Trotters in this one, leading the charge as a self-insert. I also decided to go for a dead is dead approach to the game, so if a character dies, I change their name immediately after, and if they perma-die after 3 deaths, I just carry on. It's going to be a bit like the opening to Battlefield 1, but with pigs, which makes it infinitely better. I mostly stuck to my dead is dead route, minus 1 or 2 cases in which I forgot to change the names or class them as dead, mainly because I struggled to get through that part and just moved on to the next bit. And there was one instance where I abandoned the whole thing because it royally fucked me over by the end of the game, but I do plan to be completely transparent about that. So I started the campaign with a self-pigsert who I didn't imagine would make it to the end, but had hoped that he'd make it further than he actually did. You start off in boot camp where you learn how to play the game. I've been playing this since I was a small child, and yet I've only just started the campaign for the first time for varying reasons, so I really didn't need this, but it's a nice tutorial stage nonetheless. I'm then ready to start my military campaign. Our first mission is against those bloody Yanks.
Pushy Americans, always showing up late for every war.
My team were able to finish them off, but I was sadly a casualty of the war. To be honest, I think I'd probably do just as well in a real war. Each mission comes with a daily squeal article reflecting how well you're doing as a whole. It's not quite like Hitman Blood Money where the articles are about the mission that you just beat, but it's a nice little addition. Though I am kind of worried that these guys might get sued because they literally just copied a Daily Mail article verbatim, and I'm pretty sure the Daily Mail will sue them at some point for blatantly stealing. I mean, it really is just a cut and paste. I'm then given a promotion point and I'm told to level up my pigs. Like I established earlier, I'm gonna stick to snipers and engineers because they're probably the best for my playstyle. I can't really use the goddamn mortars, bazookas or grenade launchers, not without fucking it up usually, so I'm not gonna weigh myself down with a bunch of pigs that I can't even use. In mission 2 I have to cut off a supply route. I finished it with only 2 casualties and my new recruit Rik seems to be doing well as my team's scout. Next we're fighting the Germans in the trenches, because of course we are, with the British after all, and misery is our crack cocaine. Unlike World War I, I had some idea as to what the fuck I was doing, so my troops didn't all just run at the bullets and get killed like they did in actual World War I, and I actually came away with no casualties. Take that, stupid past people. Next we go up against those darned Ruskies who are attempting a flanking manoeuvre and we need to stop it. Sadly we lost Monty along the way. We then have to go up against the French, which would win us the island of Hogs Head. This will be the first major victory on our campaign. We sadly lost Percy along the way, along with Eddie and Smith. But we took the island and got a nice educational video for our efforts, so it's all acceptable.
Know your enemy. He may look just like you, an ordinary fellow doing his best to win the war. But look again. A cross-section of the enemy brain. Small, isn't it? But don't let that fool you. He's a crafty devil. Just like you, he's a survivor, trained to live off the land and eat things that would make a billy goat puke. Yes, he'll scoff anything. Just another weapon in his arsenal. When one of these sweeps down the trench, the best thing to do is to go for your gas mask.
I used my PP to promote some new boys and hired some new recruits who were named after friends of the channel because that makes it fun. So we've got Canis named after the Canine and Wolf named after the Wolf Princess. Ponson being Rik the Spy also upgraded, and Rik now has a nice trench coat and some shades to signify that yes, he is indeed a spy. In the next mission, we're stuck on an island surrounded by landmines, and we just have to navigate around them to reach the enemy, who are on the other side. Fortunately, you can more or less run through the mines to get to the other side, as there aren't really enough to kill you. I mean, you can use engineers to spot them, but not everyone has time for that. Not gonna lie, this rendition of Ride of the Valkyries that plays when it's the German turn is fucking badass. By the way, one thing that really does my tits in with this game is how stiff the controls can get. Like, here I am trying to select my sniper rifle and it keeps selecting the cattle prod. This isn't so bad at first when you have about a minute per turn, but towards the end, you have around 15 seconds in some of the missions, and shit like this can lose you the game. It's also not good when you're trying to navigate dangerous territory, and the game just takes your input as mere suggestions, rather than things that it needs to do to keep you alive. It's the same with getting snagged on the environment and other characters, and constantly veering off course or bumping off of things. Admittedly, it's cute in the beginning, but later on it becomes a real fucking piss take.
I felt nothing.
We won the day, but at the great cost of Rik and Canis, who tragically fell into the minefield and blew up for no reason.
Goodbye.
They'll tell you where to go, but they won't know.
I replaced Rik with a new spy called Rowan, and the Grenadier with Git, who is named after Git, who I'm sure will outlast his predecessor. We managed to secure this communications place, but at the cost of Git, Wolf and Thomas. Would we call this an acceptable sacrifice? Yeah, sure, why not?
Sir.
I'm finished.
Git, Wolf and Thomas were replaced with Gage, Noodles and Alistair, who will hopefully survive a single mission. That's all I ask, boys. Just one mission. Just one! Well, I fucked this mission up royally and had to do it twice, but it interestingly is a mission where high-ranking spies show up if certain things happen, but I'm not quite sure what those things are, as I did something similar in the next attempt and these boys didn't show up. Mission 8 does get a bad rap amongst the Hogs of War community, and was apparently legendarily hard to mod. Admittedly, I'm not quite familiar enough with the game to fully understand why, and it really just feels like any other mission to me, but these guys have been playing this shit for nearly 20 years, so I'm gonna take their word for it. We were able to take Spy Island only to lose one pig. I'm impressed by my own display of competence. I mean, someone has to be. Loz has stepped in to take Alistair's place, and now we are ready to continue our campaign. This mission is actually quite easy because of all these jackasses congregating on top of a hill. So they're easy to find and they have nowhere to run or hide or nothing to pull out of their sleeves. We did lose Loz and Noodles in this fight, but I'll be honest and say that Noodles went out in the most badass way possible by blowing up the enemy with a grenade and blowing himself up with them, which is pretty fucking cool.
Niet adraba. I'm not good.
You may have stopped me, but you will never do so again.
Now, in this mission, things get a bit trickier, as there's 2 artillery weapons on top of a hill and we have to run up the hill to blow them up. The bad news is that the hill isn't just a vertical run, and is in fact a long and winding road of death and misery. I'd like to thank this lovely Japanese soldier who opted to fire his bazooka into a wall and blow himself up like a moron.
Immeasurably, sir, without failure. For me, it is nothing.
Anyway, I cornered the last scout who murders both Rowan and Anthony before toddling off up a hill and turning himself into a bush. Like he's gonna get away that easily, so I planted as many landmines as I could to make his life especially terrible.
Sorry, sir. I hit.
I also liked how this texture causes my characters to slide around all over the place, but this dickhead just walks up it. What makes him so special then? Anyway, as a reward for losing 2/5 of my boys and taking this patch of dirt, I got myself a new FMV video. This one is actually quite useful, as the mechanic of light reflecting off of enemies that are meant to be hidden from an aerial strike is actually something that is useful to know as a mechanic later on down the line.
The importance of camouflage. Shape. You, over there. Yes, you. There are no squares in nature. Break up those straight lines with natural foliage. Shine. Anything can reflect light, from the common belt buckle to the binocular's lens. See to it before it's too late. Silhouette. The shape of the head and shoulders are unmistakable. Even an exposed helmet attracts undue attention. Be inventive, cover up or take cover. Sound. You can make a lot of commotion while out on patrol. Noise can carry for long distances, especially at night. Become familiar with a silent routine in which hand signals replace the spoken word. Get it right, and they'll get the message.
Now that we've conquered Australia, we're going to be moving down to Trottsville, where a senior member of my operation has been kidnapped. I'm assuming it's Ponsonby, as he's been here since the beginning. Oh, it was. They'll regret that. The dude's got TNT in his inventory. The next mission is one of my favourites, because my stratagem used for it was ingenious. Basically, you're encouraged to destroy the enemy's tanks. But I had a better idea. I ran into the enemy's base, stole all their tanks, blew them up with their own tanks, and more or less made them destroy their own tanks trying to stop me.
Tanks. Oh, tank. Look at these tanks. Damn, look at these tanks.
By that point, I brought a fleet of my own tanks over from the other side of the map. I had a fleet of fucking tanks at my disposal because I'm a badass and no one could stop me. Also, I've never said tanks more times in a single sentence in my entire life.
It's so good. We can't go skating right now. Look at these tanks. Damn.
Sadly, despite my brilliant strategies, Ponsonby didn't survive and got killed in an airstrike. My longest standing veteran campaigner Didn't see the end of the war.
These progression points are a token of my appreciation. Good soldiering deserves good rewarding.
Next thing was this frozen fuckfest where we dropped in via parachute and had to fight a bunch of pillboxers. I turned to Karl von Clausewitz, who scrawled down in the margins of his notebook one time, "If you think destroying the enemy's pillboxers is too much work, then trick the pillocks into destroying their own pillboxers." So I did. I hid behind the pillboxers and the dumb shits blew each other up. Ha! We then did... oh god. This mission. The next mission was thankfully less annoying because it just involved running over to the other side of a riverbank and shooting these arseholes. I had to navigate a minefield to get there, but compared to last time, this was a piece of piss. This was also the mission in which I used that light effect that actually shows you where spies are if you're paying attention during an airstrike, which is actually pretty cool. It does come back and it is full circle, which I do appreciate. This won us the region of Trottsville, which made for a nice opportunity to get a nice PSA about the war.
A soldier marches on his feet. Unassuming enough, aren't they? Just another pair of army-issue boots. Mine are 5 sizes too big, did I hear you say? Naturally. The military has your best interest at heart. You there, sit down and pay attention. Your life could depend on your footwear in any number of situations. There's no sinking this fellow. Good use of cover, that man. And as a last resort, just place these stinkers outside an enemy bunker. Talk about clearing an enemy position. The owner of these could win the war single-handed.
Mission 16 requires us to take out an artillery gun on the hill, except we can't reach the hill, so we had to be creative. This wasn't too hard or annoying, thankfully. Next up is the Geneva Convention mission. I don't know why it's called that, but whatever. Where we have to just blow up a bunch of fleeing medics and their tents. Serves them right, the Florence Nightingale wannabe pricks. After seeing his brother Noel and George, the last of the Beatles, die stupidly, Liam rushes in and wins the day with a well-placed stick of dynamite. Good show, lad. I'll give you some free counselling to get over the death of your brother. Although I hear you two hated each other, so it's fine, I guess. The next mission is Mission 18, which is straightforward but a massive pain in the arse. At least I was able to get the medals on this one, but the spies that you have to fight are sturdy, and they have a habit of hiding themselves between turns. It's also kind of easy to forget where they hid, and they aren't on the map. So, yeah, good luck finding them if you aren't paying attention. They are, as many great military strategists would say, a bunch of cowardly plonkers. They also have poison gas grenades, which, if you're hit by them, they drain your health until you're dead. The only way that you can be saved by these is by medic's intervention or from a healing crate, and if you don't have either of these things, you're fucked. Next, we have to fight those blasted Yanks again and blow up their chemical reserves, and then we've finally taken over Beliopolis. This one's actually quite a difficult mission as you have to run through this large trench in order to reach the enemy at all. I mean, you have to lose a turn or two just to get into the position where you can even attack the enemy. Which, it should be noted by this point that the timer is 30 seconds per turn, and there is nowhere near enough time to run from one side of the map to the other and attack, especially if you want the attack to be meaningful. Like, maybe you could desperately throw a grenade, but The chances of you being able to place a well-placed shot with about 1 second to spare is next to nil, especially in a game like this. Thankfully, I now have a commander, Richard, who will fly into battle on his jetpack and occupy enemy territory as a vanguard. After the initial difficulties, it's a rather standard affair, except for this prick who parachutes in and attacks you from where you more or less started. So to take him out, you have to have someone backtrack and blow him up. The last mission in Beliopolis is a trench skirmish with the Japanese. It's very straightforward, and I didn't even lose anyone because I'm such a badass.
I have no need for my earthly cherries now. Sayonara.
I can see there's no match for you and your boys.
Everybody lives, Rose. Just this once. Everybody lives!
As a reward, we get another PSA, which is actually my favourite one because it's the funniest to me.
Top secret. It may well be an innocent and topical chat between comrades.
Here, Albert, heard anything about that top secret airplane?
But no, resist the temptation of disclosure. Loose lips sink ships. The enemy is everywhere. The entire war effort depends on keeping secrets under wraps, such as the Mark 13 multi-winged fighter. Oh, top secret. What a secret. Oh, look, top scientists have just completed this state-of-the-art prototype that could determine the outcome of the air war. Good work, lads. Good work. Don't tell the wife.
There's also some really good behind-the-scenes footage of Rik Mayall recording the dialogue for this, and he's having quite a lot of fun with it, but struggling at the same time to say the lines, which I find very relatable. Like, this can be me sometimes, up to like 10 times per take. Like, not every take, obviously, but some lines I really struggle with, and I fuck them up repeatedly. Usually in really dumb ways. Like, I'll flub a certain part of it and then have to start the whole thing again. So I'm really glad that Rik has the same issue, because it makes this whole thing, well, very relatable, and it makes me feel a bit better about my own incompetence.
Yeah, very good. Such as the Mark 13 multi-wing fighter. Oh, what a secret. It needs perhaps you need to nail the fact that it's a little more obvious. Oh, what a secret. Top scientists have just completed. Well, you remember it. I ain't got a pen. Okay, let's shoot, yeah? It may well be an innocent and topical chat between comrades, but no. It may well be an innocent and topical chat between comrades, but no. Resist the temptation of disclosure. Loose lips sink ships. Loose lips sink ships. Loose lips sink ships. Loose lips sink ships. It may well be an innocent and topical chat between comrades. But no, resist the temptation. Oh, fuck this line. It may well be an innocent and topical chat between comrades. But no, resist the temptation of disclosure. Loose lips sink ships. Loose lips sink ships. Loose lips sink ships. Loose lips sink ships. But no, resist the temptation of disclosure. But no, resist the temptation of disclosure. Loose lips cost ship. It may well be an innocent and topical chat between comrades. But no, resist the temptation of disclosure. Loose lips sink ships. The enemy is everywhere. The entire war effort depends on keeping secrets under wraps, such as the Mark 13 multi-winged fighter. Oh, great secret. Top scientists have just completed this state-of-the-art prototype that could determine the outcome of the air war. Look at it. Oh, the Germans will never find out. Thanks to you. Could I underline the gag? Let me try the...
Lost 2, we're alright up to sink ships, aren't we? By now? Yeah? We off? The enemy is... The enemy is everywhere. The enemy is everywhere. The entire war effort depends on keeping secrets under wraps. The enemy is everywhere. The enemy is everywhere. The entire war effort depends on keeping secrets under wraps, such as the Mark 13 multi-winged fighter. Oh, top secret, and what a secret. Oh, look, top scientists have just completed this state-of-the-art prototype that could determine the outcome of the air war. But the Germans will never find out so long as you keep this a secret. Good work, lads, good work. Don't tell the wife.
Hey, currently available. They're just talking about some of my delivery of the lines. This is how it works. If you're a young person, think you're becoming an actor, don't become an actor, because it's my work. I've got friends, some of them are tall, and many of them are ex-drug dealers. If you think of becoming an actor and you and I are up for the same audition, you are not going to get the part, but that's the top of your problems. You may not be able to walk again, you may be blinded, anything could happen. Not just to you, to your loved ones as well. Don't become an actor. It's my work. Oh, okay, someone's here.
Now, the next 4 missions are some of the toughest shit in the game. Forget the fucking easy missions where everybody lives. No, none of that shit. This is some proper Omaha Beach shit. This is Normandy on crack. This is on par with Black Friday as far as war goes. It's senseless, cruel, and you have to be a complete and utter cunt in order to win. This mission is called High and Dry, and it's an absolute bitch. You know how I said that I fucked myself by playing Dead is Dead and allowing too many people to die? Well, this is how I fucked myself. You see, I learnt in this mission that commandos can swim. If I had a team of them, this would be great. But I don't. I have 2. This means that out of 5 characters, 2 can swim, and the rest will drown. Other than that, the entire enemy team is a team of commandos, and they can swim and not drown. So they have a very real advantage against me. They have more health, better weapons and equipment, and are just all around sexier and better looking and smarter and just better than me in every way. I had no idea how I was going to compete with this shit.
German cunt. What's he doing with a fucking lamppost on his head?
This more or less meant that everyone has to take the long way around who isn't a commando, which is a real pain in the ass and wastes a lot of turns. The commandos can get a jetpack over, but that means that they're stuck in enemy territory and are left as pinatas for up to 3 turns with absolutely no way of defending themselves. Meanwhile, the game is constantly broken up by IP Grimly screaming about the optional objective of destroying the outhouses. Which is a piss take because I'm barely staying alive, mate. I don't have the manpower to blow up the outhouses, you prick. I'm barely killing the enemies and keeping myself alive here. I actually don't like this as an element of the game, because sometimes you're eager to go, and you have this fucking arsehole hold you up for as long as 15 seconds screaming at you about some dumb shit you don't care about. Just let me fucking back into the fight. It's like a false start in a race. It really messes with you psychologically. Also, as if someone wanted to add an extra layer of bullshit, the recordings got glitchy at this point. So, I apologize for that. Like, the Elgato and my laptop just do not like each other, and this happens from time to time. Honestly, it's worse on newer systems, believe me. I actually played some free play outside of the campaign to sort of collect myself and have some fun with the game for a bit, because I needed a break from the frustrations of that mission, I really did. I actually managed to do the mission, but lost a lot of my good characters to the permadeath system that you get if a character dies 3 times. I managed to do the next mission as hard as it is, but the mission after it is impossible without at least 3 commandos. I went back to an older save, which breaks my rules of Dead is Dead, but I don't fucking care, and redid the High and Dry mission with acceptable casualties. This did mean, however, that Liam didn't make it. Only Liam saw the end of war. Because he's fucking dead. The next mission is Assassination, in which I put the ass in assassination. The mission begins with you being locked in a fort with your target, who is a Japanese war hero. I'd recommend killing this guy as quickly as possible since he is the biggest threat to your team. However, I'd also recommend having your commando jetpack onto the pillbox and take control of it, as it prevents this dude from getting a hold of it and more or less breaks his AI, as that's his sole purpose in life and you've just bitch slapped it away from him. There's 2 large artillery guns which can be destroyed, but doing so causes these commandos to spawn. Sometimes the AI can be so stupid that they jump out and just attack everyone. Like, they decide to just abandon their fucking giant gun and just attack everyone on foot. But I wouldn't bank on this unless you know a way to force it to happen. The only way that I'm aware of is if you make them fire all their shells, they can't do anything else inside the artillery guns. It's more or less just a giant plate of armor, so they just jump out so that they have an attack capability. Now, if you have a poison gas grenade or something like that, you're able to poison them and then jump into the artillery gun and more or less turn this into a war of attrition, because you're safe from anything that they can do to you, but you harm them at every mission through poison damage. This actually is one way to win this, but it is kind of hard to orchestrate this exact scenario. Also, if the goddamn artillery gun does get destroyed, then paratroopers turn up and attack everything. So this mission is Hero Warship, and it's actually a mission that I thought was so difficult, I almost ended my playthrough right here. No joke. Basically, you have to defeat a team of hero officers who are camped out on the other side of the map. I actually attempted this mission over and over again for the best part of 2 hours, and was almost defeated in spirit as well as body from failing so many times. On the verge of quitting, I decided to consult some old texts to see if I could draw some wisdom from those who came before me. And it just so happens that in those old texts, I found the answers that I sought. To quote Sun Tzu in The Art of War, "A knife in the dark is worth 1,000 drawn swords at dawn." And if that doesn't work, say fuck it and toss a poison gas grenade in there and wait for the enemy to puke themselves to death. So that's what I did. I poisoned them with a poison gas grenade, ran to the other side of the map, and hid like a cowardly pussy-ass bitch until they puked themselves to death and died. It's a bittersweet victory indeed, because I'm probably never going to be able to look at myself in the mirror for being such a cowardly pussy, but hey, I won, so who cares?
This'll wake him up.
I have no wish to die.
However, there was a flaw in my plan, because the best way I could have pulled this off is with a team of commandos, and I only had 3 commandos, which would mean that turns would be wasted on non-commando units. But don't worry, I came up with an absolutely fucking ingenious solution. Meet my literal Suicide Squad!
I hate my life!
The next mission is the easiest of the Astria campaign. A bunch of Ruskies are having some sort of family reunion in a field, and you have to take them all out. They were kind enough to clump together in a cluster, so all you've really got to do is make the most of your explosives. To quote the World War I poet Siegfried Sassoon, "Hey diddle diddle, put a bomb in the middle, and then run like freaking hell."
You may have stopped me, but you will never do so again. Thank you, comrade.
We sadly lost Jake during this run, which kind of ruined the whole tweenies thing I had going on with him and Milo, but whatever, here's a fun video about first aid.
First aid in the field. The symptoms of trauma are immediate. Ow! As the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is, Do something about it immediately. Because a stitch in time saves 9. And if it can save 10, even better.
Austria is all mine! All ours! I mean, ours! Almost all of Australasia is under our control now, just the way it should be. But the most valuable territory of all still belongs to the enemy. Take the Isle of Swill, and we will be the richest nation in the world. Just imagine, limitless swill supplies until the end of all time. Oh, God, don't mess it up.
Well, we did it, boys. We took the entirety of the piggy world. Through shady and underhanded deeds and wanton destruction, we have one last mission: to take the island of Swill. Oh. Shit. Right, so this mission is really hard, next to impossible, if you have shit units. Which I do, because I'm an idiot. You start off with one Team Lard unit. After 2 turns, enemies from all of the armies that aren't yours turn up and attack you. These guys are of legendary rank and pull all kinds of crazy moves out of their asses, such as 3 types of airstrikes and dropping in more pigs. It is a fucking nightmare to fight these guys. Truth be told, I deemed this impossible and decided that I wouldn't bother and that I'd retire from warfare and leave it to those who actually know what they're doing. But then I had this idea. I thought, what if I learnt from the failures of history as well as the winners? And because of that, I looked at those who lost wars. Napoleon and, well, Harald Harada, but he wrote in fucking Norse, so I couldn't understand his bullshit. But surprisingly, I found some great wisdom from Adolf Hitler, of all people, who once said, if you cannot win through superior numbers, tactics, equipment, and provisions and cunning, then just cheat and lie about it. These words inspired me to return to the fight and work my ass off to defeat the level through an exploit. You see, I noticed that these guys spawn on the 3rd turn. So, what if I kill the only enemy on the map during turn 1 and 2? The answer is yes, defo, but how? Well, the first thing you need to do is jetpack onto this pillbox. It actually causes the AI to derp out and jump out of his pillbox to attack you. If you stand in the right spot, the idiot just jumps out, jumps on your head, and then falls off the pillbox into the ravine below. Does this constitute as a ravine? Fuck it, it does. I have a gun, so I'm in charge. Anyway, turn 2 absolutely has to kill him in 1 hit. If it doesn't, the enemies spawn and you're fucked. Fortunately, the lake behind the pillbox is a toxic soup. If you knock an enemy in there, they drown, and even if they don't drown, they get sick and eventually die. Sadly, the latter was not an option, as it would require another turn, which would in turn trigger the legendary enemies coming down from the sky. Believe it or not, I managed to get him down to like 3 health at one point, and he still survived, so it triggered the next turn. I had to get this 100% pinpointed and accurate to win this, and by a Christmas miracle, I did it. I knocked him in toxic water, he thrashed around a bit, and he drowned, and I won the fucking day. Huzzah! It wasn't even a lie when the recruiter said the war would be over by Christmas. This actually won me the entire game and got me the ending cutscene.
That's it then! The war is over! A time to count the cost of economic and collateral damage, forge new alliances, and rebuild the peace. Hands across the ocean. A time for celebration, then?
So what? So what? Why, you miserable swine? You've been away for 4 years. Your sweetheart has left you. Your house back home is a bomb site. and you have absolutely zero chance of normal civilian employment. But then what did you think you were fighting for? So, tell me you'd give it all up? No, the soldier has war in his blood. If we can't find a war, we'll blooming well start one. That's the spirit. So long as the politicians can create a pointless argument somewhere in the world, there'll be a pointless war for us to fight. No stockpiled weapons will go to waste. Rest assured, we'll be sharing this arsenal with all manner of new and unsavory enemies across this world of ours. Good luck, lad. Our thoughts are with you, wherever you may be.
This forced Jarvis, Bernard, Milo, Clarks and Babe, who is my longest surviving soldier by the way, since he's been with us since the Trottsville campaign, to more or less don the purple colours of the Team Lard people and invade Tommy Trotter's land. So, yeah, they more or less become Big Boss and try to achieve out of heaven. Let's see how well that shit goes, given that these guys have been downgraded to grunts and they're fighting higher level enemies.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, I've only got one knacker left. Hey up. Can't get much more cunt out of my country.
You won't know what's hitting when this comes round the corner.
Fuck it, I'm dead.
Oh well. Hogs of War is a timeless classic, which is still incredibly enjoyable to this day. It has a few flaws that date it, such as a buggy tank control system and overall stiffness, mostly due to the era of it being on PS1, but it's overall a nice combination of challenging gameplay, mixed with some great comedic elements thrown in to keep it extra entertaining. I enjoyed it as much today as I did when I was a kid because of how much it offers. It looks, plays and sounds amazing in every aspect, and the aesthetic is just on point. It captures everything it wants to so well. Now I'm going to end this episode with a Christmas miracle. A friend of the show, Noodles Ate My Baby, informed me that a remaster of this game is in the works, called Hogs of War Reheated. It's actually showing a fair bit of good progress, and looks pretty damn good, and you know it's in safe hands, or trotters, as it's being developed by the original dev team and a lifelong fan who inspired the entire operation by writing a university paper on why he loves this game. There's also a card game and a miniatures game in the works, which I'd love to get my hands on if it ever comes out and I can order it from my country. Honestly, I'd love for a new generation of people to be able to experience this game, especially now that the PC version is difficult to run, and even if you run it, it's buggy as shit. You can get it on PS1, and you can run it on an emulator. However, the EPS-XE version of the game is really buggy. It's alright for multiplayer mode, but I wouldn't recommend the campaign on it, as it's prone to crash at the end of every match. Well, that's the end of this little war of mine. I wish you all a fantastic Christmas and a magnificent New Year.
I have no confidence in my abilities, sir. Thank you for letting me fight in the war.